Hello, beloved soul, and welcome back to the Light and Shadow podcast. I'm Grey, Reiki Master Seer, Soul Alchemist, and your guide in this sacred space, where we honor both the light and the shadows that shape us. Before we begin, I want to offer a gentle reminder. This podcast is a space of sacred support and remembrance, but it is not a substitute for therapy, professional mental health care, or medical treatment. Think of this podcast as an energetic companion on your path, not the only one. And if you feel called to walk deeper with me, the link below is always open. My Reiki-infused ritual candles created as tools for healing and transformation, one-on-one intuitive coaching sessions where we bring clarity, guidance, and energetic shifts tailored to your soul, and our private light and shadow sanctuary, a community for weekly soul nourishment and shadow alchemy, and for those ready to go deeper into the mysteries, the Grey Ethereus Academy, my mystery school of light and shadow, where we step fully into initiation and embodiment. You can also find me on TikTok at Grey Ethereus, where I share daily transmissions, practices, and reminders that you're not alone in this work. Take a deep breath with me right now. Place your hand gently over your heart and ask yourself, what emotions have I been holding down, convincing myself they have disappeared? What have I silenced within me because it felt too much, too dangerous, or too inconvenient for others to hear? Today, we step into this shadow of suppression, the unspoken truth that ignoring your feelings doesn't make them go away. Instead, they live inside the body, the nervous system, the subconscious, shaping your health, your relationships, and your joy. But beloved, here's the medicine. What you suppress can be released. What you bury can be freed. What you silence can finally sing. And with this breath, the transmission begins. Suppression is not the same as healing. It is the act of pressing down what was meant to move through you. It is the habit of silencing your inner storms until they become quiet, earthquakes beneath your skin. Most of us learn suppression early. We are told as children, don't cry, be strong. Don't be angry, it's not nice. Don't speak, it will upset them. So we swallow tears that wanted to fall. We bite down on truths that wanted to be spoken. We hold back rage that wanted to roar. And we convince ourselves, if I ignore it long enough, it will disappear. But here's the truth. Nothing ever disappears. Every suppressed feeling takes form somewhere. It seeps into the nervous system as anxiety. It hardens into the body as tension, illness, or fatigue. It embeds itself in the subconscious, replaying as patterns of self-sabotage, people-pleasing, or fear of intimacy. Suppression is the illusion of control, but really it is just postponement, a delay, a storage of energy that will eventually demand release. And here's a paradox. What we fear will overwhelm us, if expressed, is often the very thing that frees us when finally felt. Suppression whispers, stay safe, by staying silent. But liberation says, safety comes from truth, not silence. This is why we are beginning here, because to step into sovereignty, wholeness, or freedom, we must first unlearn the lie that ignoring your emotions is strength. True strength is presence. True strength is allowing the wave to rise, move through, and release, without shame, without apology. Every emotion you suppress has to go somewhere. Energy cannot be destroyed, it only transforms. When you push a feeling down, it doesn't dissolve, it redirects. Suppressed grief can weigh on the lungs, manifesting as shallow breath, chronic fatigue, or even immune weakness. Suppressed anger simmers in the liver and muscles, turning into tension, headaches, or inflammation. Suppressed fear roots itself in the nervous system, shaping hypervigilance, panic attacks, or a constant feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Your body becomes the container for emotions you refuse to feel, and eventually that container cracks. Ironically, suppression doesn't make emotions smaller. It makes them louder in the subconscious. The more you try to silence the inner storm, the more it erupts sideways. Outbursts of rage over small things, emotional numbness in moments that should feel alive, and anxiety without a clear source, because the body is carrying weight the mind refuses to name. Suppression is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes constant effort, and the moment you are tired, it shoots back up with force. Suppression doesn't just cost you peace, it costs you intimacy with yourself. When you bury your sadness, you also bury your joy. When you numb your anger, you numb your passion. And when you silence your grief, you silence your love. This is the most devastating cost of all. The slow forgetting of your own aliveness. A life lived in suppression becomes a life half-lived. Suppression often begins in childhood, when emotions are met with dismissal instead of safety. Maybe you were told, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." "Don't be angry, it's not nice. You're too sensitive." Each message taught you that parts of yourself were unacceptable. So you learned to shrink them down, lock them away, or even show the good emotions, the ones that kept you safe, loved, or at least less rejected. This wasn't your fault. It was adaptation. But what once kept you safe becomes a cage as you grow. Beyond the family, society itself reinforces suppression. Masculine conditioning teaches men that vulnerability is weakness. Feminine conditioning teaches women that anger is unattractive or hysterical. Cultural messages glorify productivity over presence, teaching us to numb our feelings to keep working, achieving, and performing. We live in a world that praises stoicism and endurance, but rarely honors emotional authenticity. Suppression becomes a way of belonging to a society that fears depth. At its core, suppression is a survival mechanism. When the environment feels unsafe to feel, your body says better to bury this than to risk losing love or protection. But here's the truth. Survival strategies are not meant to be lifelong strategies. What once saved you is not what will liberate you. To unlearn suppression, you don't bulldoze yourself into expression, you create safety. Simply notice when you are tempted to swallow an emotion. Awareness is the first act of reclamation. Whisper the truth to yourself. This is sadness. This is anger. Naming softens shame and creates spaces to release, like a journal, a ritual path, breathwork, therapy, sacred circles. Instead of "this emotion will break me," practice saying "this emotion is moving through me." The work is not to get rid of your feelings, but to re-establish a relationship with them. To let them move so they no longer fester. When emotions have been buried for years, decades, or even lifetimes, they often don't want to come rushing out all at once. They need gentle invitations, not force. Think of it like throwing ice. Slow, steady warmth allows the frozen parts of you to melt and move safely. Here are some practices to begin releasing suppressed emotions in ways that feel nourishing and sustainable. Writing is one of the safest portals for release. Instead of censoring yourself, let your pen move without judgment. Try prompts like, "If I gave my sadness a voice, it would say," fill in the blank. "The anger I never expressed was about," fill in the blank. "What I wish I could tell them, but never did," fill in the blank. This isn't about writing something beautiful, it's about giving the unsaid a container. Once written, you can keep, burn, or tear the pages as a ritual of release. Suppressed emotions often live in the body as tightness, shallow breathing, or frozen energy. Conscious breath helps shift that. Try sighing exhale. Deep breath in and long sigh out. Or box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. The breath signals safety to your nervous system, which is the foundation for emotions to flow again. Emotion is energy in motion, so let the body move it. Put on music that matches your mood. Probably drums for anger, soft strings for sadness, fluid beats for joy. Let your body move freely, shake, stomp, sway, cry, even dance with abandon. Your body knows how to move the stuck energy if you give it permission. So much suppression comes from silencing the voice. To counter this, hum, chant, moan, or tone sounds without words. Scream into a pillow if rage arises. Sing a song that resonates with your emotions. Sound vibrations clear blocked energy and reconnect you with your primal truth. There's rituals here. Ritual brings sacredness into release. Write what you're letting go of and burn it in a fire-safe container. Cry into a bath and let the water hold your grief. Emotional rituals remind you that release is not destruction, it is transformation. Sometimes, emotions feel too big to hold alone. In those moments, a trusted therapist, guide, or circle can create safety for your expression. Being witnessed in your truth breaks the shame that kept it hidden. The act of being seen without judgment is itself a profound form of healing. The goal of these practices is not to empty yourself of feeling, but to create movement where there was once stagnation. Suppression freezes you. Safe release frees you. When you bury your emotions instead of letting them move, they don't disappear. They root themselves deeper in the body, the mind, and the soul. Over time, the cause of suppression shows up in ways you might not immediately link to emotion. Emotions are physiological experiences, hormones, chemicals, nervous system responses. So when you try to suppress them, the body carries the load. Over time, this can manifest as chronic tension or pain, often located in the shoulders, jaw, or back, as well as digestive issues, ulcers, or inflammation. Migraines or exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to heal. The body remembers what the mind avoids. Illness often whispers what the voice has silenced. When feelings are stuffed down, the mind compensates with overthinking, rumination, or worry. This is why suppression often manifests as anxiety, depression, and emotional reactivity. Anxiety is because the energy of emotion is trying to move but has nowhere to go. Depression is because the life force energy of feeling has been numbed or frozen. Emotional reactivity is when unprocessed feelings eventually burst out sideways as rage, irritability, or breakdowns. The mind becomes the overflow valve of suppressed emotions. Suppression doesn't just affect the body and mind, it dulls the spirit. When you mute your emotions, you also mute your intuition, creativity, and aliveness. Over time, this can feel like disconnection from joy, passion, and purpose. Feeling numb, even when life looks fine on the outside. Losing touch with your deeper why in life. Suppression is essentially a self-abandonment. It creates a split between who you truly are and who you pretend to be. Many people live in a cycle. Suppress emotion because they feel too numb, and then reach a breaking point where everything explodes like anger, tears, or panic, and then feel shame of the outburst and vow to suppress again. This cycle keeps people trapped, exhausted, and convinced that their emotions are dangerous, when in truth it's the suppression, not the emotion itself, that causes the volatility. The truth is, ignoring your emotions doesn't make you strong, it makes you disconnected. Feeling them doesn't make you weak, it makes you whole. Your emotions were never meant to be locked away in the dark. They were meant to move, teach, and liberate you. Beloved, what we have uncovered today is simple but profound. Suppressed emotions don't disappear. They live in your body, your mind, and your soul until they are witnessed, honored, and released. You don't need to fear your feelings. You don't need to exile them. You only need to create safe containers where they can move, teach, and transform you. Here are some few gentle practices you can begin today. Pause 3 times a day. Place a hand over your heart and ask, what am I feeling right now? Beneath the surface. No judgment. No story. Just awareness. Naming is the first step to releasing. And instead of suppressing, try shaking your body for 2 minutes to discharge stored tension. Exhaling with sound, sighs, hums, or even gentle roars. Even writing uncensored words on paper, then burning them in ritual release. Every time you catch yourself pushing feelings away, whisper, "It is safe to feel, it is safe to heal, and it's safe to be me." Beloved soul, remember this. Suppression is not strength. It is survival. And survival was never meant to be your permanent home. When you choose to honor your emotions instead of burying them, you step into a life where your truth flows freely. You don't have to fear your feelings. You don't have to exile them. You only need to listen, honor, and let them move through you. This is the work of sovereignty. This is the art of freedom. And if today's transmission stirred something deep in you, know that you don't have to walk this path alone. You can step deeper into this work with me through the Grey Ethereus Academy, my mystery school for shadow alchemy, energetic mastery, and soul remembrance. One-on-one coaching and mentorship for those ready to rewrite their story and live fully as the I. And the Light and Shadow Sanctuary, a weekly circle where we rise together. And for daily transmissions, follow me on TikTok at GreyEthereus. The link is in the description box below. And next time on the Light and Shadow podcast, we journey into the alchemy of presence. How to stay with what is here instead of escaping into distraction. How to let every moment, even the painful ones, become a portal to power, peace, and awakening. Because presence is not just about mindfulness. It is the way your soul learns to live now, not later. For now, breathe deep, stand tall, and remember, the magic is already within you. You are more powerful than you know. Until next time.